No other race on the Formula One calendar is as revered as Monaco. The tight street circuit is in the heart of Monte Carlo, winding past hotels, casinos, apartment buildings, and the Monaco Harbour. Long before Formula One was established in 1946 and eventually raced in 1950, Monaco was known for its circuit and the level of talent needed to drive it successfully. In order to win, speed alone will not help you. This track is won through precision, patience, mechanical sympathy, and psychological control. Monte Carlo circuit has produced countless iconic moments, including Kimi Räikkönen's famous walk from his retired car to his yacht during a 2006 race. As the 2026 Monaco Grand Prix is set to take place June 5th to 7th, let's look at the history and unforgettable drives that have given this track such a prestigious reputation. In 1929, the Automobile Club de Monaco sought full recognition as a national club. During the 1920s, the governing body of international motorsport was the AIACR, the Association Internationale des Automobiles Clubs Reconnus, which later evolved into the FIA, the Fédération Internationale d'Automobile. The ACM had previously organized the famous Monte Carlo Rally ever since 1911. However, that event started across Europe and finished in Monaco. Since most of the competition took place outside Monaco's borders, the AIACR refused to grant Monaco full status. Their decision reflected doubts surrounding whether a state as small as Monaco could support a national motorsport event. Antoni Nogués was a wealthy, politically connected businessman within Monaco's tobacco administration. His family was deeply connected to Monaco's elite institutions, and Antoni himself was heavily involved in the Monte Carlo Rally. Instead of accepting the AIACR's rejection, Antoni crafted a solution. Since Monaco lacked a race inside Monaco, they would build one. What seemed like a simple solution turned out to be quite the feat. Because of the city's size, there was no room for a conventional racing circuit. Faced with this dilemma, Nogués proposed using the streets of Monaco themselves. The track wound around the harbour, climbed towards the casino, descended through Monte Carlo, returning to the waterfront to finish. Its design incorporated existing roads, elevation changes, tram tracks, and narrow sections. Many people were skeptical, holding the belief that the track was too impractical for racing. Its complexity would require large sections of Monaco to be shut down, making it as much of an urban planning and political project as it was a sporting one. Strategically, Nogués secured support from Prince Louis II, the former Prince of Monaco, and Louis Chiron, Monegasque racing driver. Prince Louis II understood fundamentally that Monaco's economy was increasingly dependent on tourism, luxury, and international visibility. A glamorous motor race was the perfect opportunity to market Monaco to the world. Therefore, the Monaco Grand Prix was not treated merely as a race, but as an international project for prestige and national recognition. On April 14, 1929, the first Monaco Grand Prix was held. Prince Pierre of Monaco inaugurated the race, attracting major manufacturers like Bugatti and Mercedes. A total of 16 cars took off, competing for the prize of 100,000 French francs. It was a battle between British driver William Grover Williams, driving a Bugatti, and German driver Rudolf Caracola, driving a Mercedes SSK. Caracola had a heavier Mercedes, which required frequent fuel and tire stops, losing him precious time in the pits. This gave Grover Williams the perfect advantage, leading him to win the race. With that, the Monaco Grand Prix was a success, and the Automobile Club de Monaco gained the international recognition it had been seeking. The race immediately became prestigious and a staple in motorsport racing, solving a major political problem for the country. There are three major factors that make Monaco the crown jewel in Formula One. Firstly, there's no margin for error. With tight corners and narrow straights, each driver must be on their A-game to ensure they don't misjudge the amount of space they have at any point in the race. Secondly, though people consider the race itself to be lacking excitement, largely due to the lack of room for overtakes, Monaco presents the ultimate qualifying challenge. A perfect lap at the Monaco Grand Prix is considered the purest display of driver talent. Lastly, surrounded by yachts, royalty, celebrities, casinos, and Mediterranean luxury, its location makes it a cultural event as much as it is a sporting race. The 1950 Monaco Grand Prix marked Monaco's debut in the inaugural Formula One World Championship season. The short circuit required 100 laps in order to comply with Formula One regulations at the time, which aimed for a distance of around 300 kilometers per circuit. Ferrari, Maserati, Alfa Romeo, Talbot Lago, Simca Gordini, ERA, and Cooper Jap were the principal manufacturers and entrants competing. On the opening lap at Tabac, heavy water from the harbour side and wet conditions flooded the racing line, catching drivers by surprise and triggering a major pileup. Nino Farnina, who started second on the grid after qualifying, lost control, triggering a chain reaction that eliminated roughly half the field. Juan Manuel Fangio in his Alfa Romeo led from pole position, escaping the chaos to build a decisive lead. The first podium in Monaco saw Juan Manuel Fangio take first, Ferrari's Alberto Ascari coming in second, and lastly, Monaco native Louis Chiron driving a Maserati in third. Remarkably, Chiron was 50 years old during this time, in contrast with his first Monaco Grand Prix, not Formula One related, in 1929, when he was 29 years old. His longevity in motorsport is one of the reasons he stands out as an important figure not only in racing, but Monaco Grand Prix history. Years later, in 1955, Alberto Ascari returned to the Monaco Grand Prix, hungry for victory. While chasing the leaders, he lost control of his car, missing the chicane after the tunnel, and broke through the safety barriers between the track and harbour. Spectators were in disbelief as his car sank in the Monaco Harbour. This incident alone created one of the most enduring Formula One images. Luckily, Ascari escaped with relatively minor injuries and was rescued by nearby boats. When discussing legends of Monaco, we must start with the man nicknamed Mr. Monaco in the 1960s. Graham Hill understood the fundamentals of the Monte Carlo circuit. While many tried to push their car to maximum speed, treating the circuit like a sprint race, Hill focused on the details. In the 1960s, Monaco was a terrifying track, with no runoff areas, weak barriers, little safety for drivers, narrow roads, and constant traffic from backmarkers. Backmarkers are slower competitors who consistently compete at the rear of the pack and are frequently lapped by the race leaders. Thus, a single mistake usually meant retirement for the car and driver. Monaco is one of those circuits that punish aggression more severely than most Grand Prix. As Jackie Stewart noted about Graham Hill in an interview with Motorsport magazine, he'd learned that you didn't win by making mistakes. Hill was known for being extremely precise, which is a trait heavily rewarded in Monaco. Former drivers note how he could repeatedly place the car within centimeters of the barriers throughout the race. As a circuit, Monte Carlo rewards rhythm, consistency, braking accurately, and concentration, which were Hill's strengths. Before Formula One was known for its strategic brilliance, Hill was a master at knowing when to conserve the car's energy and when to push. Victories often included rivals breaking down or making mistakes, while Hill remained in contention. At the 1965 Monaco Grand Prix, Graham Hill would have a race that granted him the iconic name Mr. Monaco. During the race, while lapping a slower car, he overshot the chicane and drove down an escape road. In order to continue the race, Hill pushed his car back on track. This blunder dropped Hill from first to fifth. Despite this, Hill went on to hunt down the leaders and retook first place until he crossed the checkered flag. During the 1960s, Hill was close with Monaco's royal family, becoming one of the most recognizable figures in the Principality. Graham Hill did not merely win the race, he became part of the event's mythology. In true Monaco style, with his mustache, tailored appearance, and charisma, Graham Hill looked the part of a Monaco champion. Mr. Monaco went on to win the Monaco Grand Prix 5 times in 1963, 64, 65, 68, and 69, a record he held for 25 years until another infamous driver broke it in 1993. It's also worth mentioning that Graham Hill remains the only driver to win motorsport's Triple Crown, which include the Monaco Grand Prix, Indianapolis 500, and the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Before exploring the driver that broke Hill's record, the 1968 Monaco Grand Prix holds importance greater than just a victory on the circuit. Jim Clark was a 2-time Formula One champion and teammates with Graham Hill at Team Lotus. Widely considered one of Formula One's fastest drivers, Jim Clark and Graham Hill were central in Team Lotus's dominant performances in the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship that year. At the South African Grand Prix in 1968, Jim Clark took pole position, set the fastest lap, and won the race. Meanwhile, Graham Hill finished right behind him in second. This race showed the rest of the field that Lotus had the fastest car and were frontrunners in both championships. During the 1960s, Formula 2 was not just seen as a junior championship. often bringing Formula One drivers to compete. In addition, there were only 12 races in Formula One, leaving a massive gap in competitions for drivers. Clark had infamously not wanted to attend the Hockenheim circuit in Germany to compete in the Formula 2 race. However, due to contractual requirements and pressure from Team Lotus boss Colin Chapman in conjunction with tire sponsor Firestone, he ended up traveling to compete. On April 7, 1968, Jim Clark's Lotus veered off the track at roughly 170 miles per hour into a wooded area. He suffered a broken neck and fractured skull, dying before reaching the hospital. Though the investigation returned inconclusive, it was most likely caused by an unexpected deflation of a rear tire. When Clark died, Formula One was shaken. Only weeks later, Graham Hill went on to win in Monaco with a grieving Lotus team. Hill's victory became symbolic, a veteran carrying the sport through one of its darkest times. The title King of Monaco has not only been given to Monegasque royalty. One driver associated closely with Monaco is Ayrton Senna, who accomplished a total of 6 wins at the circuit, along with 5 consecutive wins from 1989 to 1993. In addition to wins, Senna earned 8 Monaco pole positions and often appeared almost untouchable over a single lap. His 1988 qualifying lap remains one of the most revered performances in motorsport history. Similar to Graham Hill, the Monaco Grand Prix favored Senna's driving style, as he was known for supreme car control and a willingness to drive closer to the barriers than others. During the 1984 Monaco Grand Prix, there was a torrential downpour. At the time, Senna was a rookie driving an uncompetitive Toleman car. However, despite the inferior machinery, Senna carved his way through the field and was rapidly closing on race leader Alain Prost. Controversially, the race was stopped before Senna could attempt to pass. Many people to this day still believe if the race had continued, Senna would have claimed victory. Regardless of cancellation, this drive transformed Ayrton Senna from a rookie to a global star. In addition, this race planted the seeds for one of Formula One's greatest rivalries. If you ask most Formula One connoisseurs Senna's greatest lap, they'd probably respond with 1988 in Monaco. During qualifying, he secured P1 1.427 seconds faster than teammate Alain Prost. Shock struck the circuit, as while leading the race nearly a minute ahead, Senna crashed from clipping the barrier at the Portier, turn 8 on the circuit. This demonstrates how even the greatest drivers are not invincible to Monaco's infamous track. Despite this loss, Senna returned the next 5 years to dominate the circuit, and it quickly became one of the central stages in his rivalry with Prost. If there's one race to debunk the myth around Monaco being boring, it's the 1992 race between Ayrton Senna and Nigel Mansell. Mansell had dominated the race from pole position and built a huge lead. With 7 laps remaining, he began to have tire problems, either from a puncture or loose wheel nut, forcing him into the pits. Senna took over the lead, and as Mansell emerged from the pits, he began the hunt. Though Senna was in the slower McLaren compared to Mansell's Williams, he performed a masterclass in defensive driving. The crowd was on their toes as Senna masterfully kept Mansell behind him, defending his position until he crossed the checkered flag. The race was so close that Senna won by 0.2 seconds. An iconic photo was taken where Senna's red and white McLaren is shown blocking Mansell's blue and yellow Williams. Another stunning race in Monaco was during the 1996 Formula One season. Chaos was the theme that day in Monte Carlo, as rain, crashes, and mechanical failures eliminated almost every driver from the grid. Even racing legend Michael Schumacher, who held pole position, crashed on lap 1. With only 3 cars reaching the finish line, Olivier Panis started 14th on the grid for Ligier and took home first. At the time, no one had won the Monaco Grand Prix from further back than 8th on the starting grid. It was the only first-place finish in Olivier's Formula One career, along with the last ever win for the Ligier team. This race highlighted the unpredictable nature of Monaco and has continued to do so in the following years. Michael Schumacher is known as one of the greats in Formula One history, and he further cemented his legacy at the Monaco Grand Prix in 1997. Schumacher has always been known to be dominant in wet weather conditions, and during the Grand Prix, he put on a masterclass. From the jump, he disappeared into the distance, building an enormous lead. Because of the weather conditions, the race was cut short to 62 laps instead of the original 48. In a Ferrari, he soared through the rain, finishing P1 by over 53 seconds. In Formula One, those margins are enormous. This marked Ferrari's first win in Monaco since 1981 and solidified Schumacher's name as the Rheinmeister, aka Rainmaster. Controversially, in 2006, Michael Schumacher crashed his Ferrari at the Racas corner during qualifying, triggering a yellow flag, preventing his rivals such as Fernando Alonso from improving their lap times. Stewards concluded the stop was deliberate and penalized Schumacher to start from the back of the grid. Despite Michael's attempts to slow him down, Fernando Alonso secured pole position and went on to win the 2006 Monaco Grand Prix. This incident remains one of the Monaco Grand Prix's biggest scandals. Before jumping into modern Formula One, there's one final race in Monaco worth mentioning. Often mentioned for its dramatic and unpredictable conclusion, the 1982 Monaco Grand Prix saw several changes in lead, along with a plethora of crashes. With 3 laps remaining, it began to rain lightly. Race leader Alain Prost lost control of his car from the combination of the rain and oily track, sending him into the barriers. This then passed the lead to Riccardo Patrese, who then spun out and stalled at the Lotus hairpin. Didier Pironi in his Ferrari took over, but ran out of fuel on the final lap. Andrea de Cesaris then took the lead, only to suffer the same fate as Pironi, running out of fuel. Next in line was Derek Daly in the Williams, which suffered a gearbox failure before he could cross the finish line. Meanwhile, Patrese had managed to bump start his Brabham by rolling it down the hill. As others dropped like flies from the race, he was suddenly back in the lead and crossed the line to claim his first Formula One victory. Within the final 3 laps, the lead changed hands 4 times, making this Grand Prix one of the most bizarre finishes in Formula One history. When examining modern Formula One, there are 3 drivers who come to mind surrounding the Monaco Grand Prix: Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg, and Charles Leclerc. During the 2008 Grand Prix in Monaco, Lewis Hamilton drove a race of a lifetime. Conditions were awful. The track was soaked in rain before the race, then became dry, and track conditions continued to shift throughout the race. Hamilton hit the barriers at Tabac, which is turn 12, early in the race on lap 5. He punctured a tire and needed to pit immediately. With changing weather conditions, Hamilton was still able to race in a circumstance that would normally see him out of the running for a podium spot. Out of his competitors like Felipe Massa, Kimi Räikkönen, and Robert Kubica, Hamilton stayed calm and gradually moved up in the race. McLaren gambled and put intermediate tires rather than extreme wets, allowing Hamilton to stay out longer with the changing track conditions. His effort was aided by 2 safety cars. First, when David Coulthard lost control of his Red Bull hitting the barriers on lap 8, and when Nico Rosberg ran wide at the swimming pool complex in his Williams, clipping a curb and bouncing heavily into the barriers on lap 62. Hamilton secured the win and his first victory at Monaco. It was a defining race in Hamilton's career, as after Monaco, he became the leader in the championship title fight and went on to win his first Formula One Drivers' World Championship that year by a single point. Monaco-based YouTuber Nico Rosberg, also known as 2016 Formula One Drivers' World Champion, is another driver associated with the Monaco Grand Prix and Lewis Hamilton. Growing up in Monte Carlo, Rosberg was familiar with the roads and intimately understood the rhythm of the circuit better than most F1 drivers. Similar to great motorsport athletes before him, the Monaco Grand Prix suited Nico's driving style, as he was known for precision, qualifying, tire management, and smooth steering inputs. During his intense battle with Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes, Nico secured 3 back-to-back wins from 2013 to 2015. During 2014 qualifying, Rosberg locked up at the Mirabeau, which is turn 5, causing a yellow flag and preventing other drivers to finish their laps. Stewards ruled the incident as an accident, however, it raised tensions inside Mercedes, as many believed he had taken a page out of Schumacher's handbook, crashing on purpose. The 2015 Monaco Grand Prix brought with it more drama as Hamilton was leading the race until a disastrous late pit stop during a safety car. Hamilton lost track position with Rosberg inheriting it, leading to his 3rd consecutive win at the Monaco Grand Prix. However, in 2016, Lewis Hamilton came back hungry for redemption, winning the race while Rosberg placed 7th. Funnily enough, as of today, Rosberg and Hamilton both have 3 victories at Monaco. Last, but certainly not least, Monegasque native Charles Leclerc is known to have one of the most special Monaco Grand Prix in 2024. Born and raised in the streets of Monte Carlo, Charles grew up dreaming of clinching victory at his hometown race. During his 2018 Monaco Grand Prix debut, a brake failure caused him to crash into the back of Brendan Hartley at the Nouvelle Chicane, resulting in a DNF. Unfortunately, this bad luck carried over into 2019, as Ferrari made a mistake in qualifying, failing to send Leclerc out for another run. He was eliminated in Q1, starting deep in the field. In the race, he tried to recover aggressively and crashed, making contact with Nico Hülkenberg. 2021 was the year that the Leclerc-Monaco curse was born. Qualifying was going great, with Charles producing an incredible lap, placing him in pole position. Just when he was nearing the end of qualifying, he crashed his Ferrari at the swimming pool. Ferrari believed it might have been a fixable gearbox issue, however, on the day of the race, Leclerc never started. Instead, he watched from the garage as others were living his dream. Once again, 2022 saw the curse in full effect, as he was starting from pole position and leading the race, only to be called into the pits at the same time as his teammate Carlos Sainz. This confusing pit stop was an accidental call, and though they tried to correct it, telling Leclerc to stay on track, it was too late and he was already in the pit lane. 2024 was the year Leclerc demolished any talk of a curse. He took pole position and controlled the race from start to finish. When he crossed the checkered flag, he became the first Monegasque winner of the Monaco Grand Prix since Louis Chiron in 1931, and the first Monegasque winner of the Formula One Monaco Grand Prix. It's important to mention that though the Monaco circuit is known for driver excellence, its unpredictability is also dangerous. In the early 1960s, Italian driver Lorenzo Bandini drove for Scuderia Ferrari. Bandini wasn't just a Formula One driver. He was also a top endurance racer, winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans and 24 Hours of Daytona. Though he only won a single Formula One Grand Prix in Austria, he was considered one of Italy's brightest racing stars. On lap 82 of the 1967 Monaco Grand Prix, Bandini was trying to catch race leader Denny Hulme. He struck a guardrail entering the Harbour chicane, sending his Ferrari flying into straw bales. With his car overturned, a fire caught, and he became trapped underneath. Bandini survived the initial crash, but suffered severe burns and chest injuries, which he later succumbed to 3 days later on May 10th at the age of 31. Honoring his legacy, more than 100,000 people attended his funeral in Italy. After the deadly crash, F1 removed straw bales from circuits, Monaco extended its guardrails, and fire response procedures began receiving greater attention. His death became one of the catalysts for Formula One's push towards better safety protocol. Since 1992, Motorsport has awarded the Lorenzo Bandini Trophy annually to drivers, recognizing their sportsmanship, character, and approach to racing. The trophy is a ceramic replica of Bandini's Ferrari, bearing his racing number 18. Past winners include Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Lando Norris, George Russell, Oscar Piastri, and most recently, Andrea Kimi Antonelli. As we all prepare for the 2026 Monaco Grand Prix this weekend, it seems like Charles Leclerc might be most favored to win once again in his hometown. The 2026 Ferrari cars have been shown to favor low-speed grip with strong qualifying pace, making the duo of Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton frontrunners. In addition, the car is also stronger in slow corners, which Monaco has in plenty. Though Mercedes driver Andrea Kimi Antonelli is leading the Drivers' Championship, Monaco's unpredictable nature and challenging terrain could prove to be a sort of equalizer, allowing drivers in second to fifth to catch up. Lando Norris in the McLaren could also be a contender, as he won the race in 2025. The race isn't designed to fit Antonelli's aggressive driving style, and based on previous races, he doesn't do particularly well at the Monaco circuit. However, it is worth mentioning that Andrea Kimi Antonelli's favorite driver is Ayrton Senna, and if he's able to channel Senna's remarkable Monaco skills, we could see Antonelli claim his 5th consecutive win. In Monaco, fortune doesn't favor the brave. It favors the driver who finds perfection in the most unlikely of circumstances.